Hi, I'm going to do a quick review of Learning Target 2.4, which says I can solve absolute value equations in one variable. I'm going to go ahead and get started with number 1. We want to figure out what number could I plug in for x to make this equation true. Since we're dealing with absolute value, we have to think of distance away from 0. So we need to think like what unit or what numbers are going to be 7 units away from 0. So since my absolute value part is already isolated here, we can already branch off and focus on that 7. And I'm going to create two different equations, or two different cases. I'm going to make x plus 3 equal to a positive 7, because that's 7 away from 0. And then x plus 3 is equal to a negative 7, because that's also 7 away from 0. Now you just solve it like a one-step equation. Subtract 3 from both sides. You end up getting x is equal to 4. As one of your solutions, subtract 3 from both sides. You get x is equal to a negative 10 as your other solution. So here we have two solutions going on. You can check it by plugging it back in. The absolute value of 4 plus 3, is that equal to 7? Well, that's the absolute value of 7, and that is 7, so it does work. You could also plug in negative 10. Negative 10 plus 3, is that equal to 7? Well, you get the absolute value of a negative 7. Well, that's 7 away from 0, so it is true. Okay, let's move on to number 2. Number 2, it looks like it's already isolated again. We don't have to do any, manipulating there. So what I would do is branch it right away and rewrite it as 2x minus 3 is equal to a positive 15, and 2x minus 3 is equal to a negative 15. So those are our two different cases. Now you can do these two-step equations and solve for x. Add 3 to both sides, we get 2x is equal to 18. Divide by 2, we get x is equal to 9 is one of our solutions. Add 3 to both sides, we get 2x is equal to a negative 12. Divide by 2, we get x is equal to a negative 6. So there are two solutions. You can always check to make sure you got it right. Okay, be careful with number 3. Number 3, we have it equal to a negative number. That should be a big red flag right there. Think with absolute value, we can never take the absolute value of a number and get a negative number, because we're talking about distance. Like, think about the absolute value of a negative 4. That's 4 away from 0. It's always positive. The absolute value of just 4 is equal to 4. We never get a negative solution there, so we shouldn't have a negative equal our absolute value expression there. So whenever that happens, just write no solution. There is no possible solution to make that equation true. All right, moving on to number 4. Be really careful here. It's not isolated yet, so you have to get it by itself before you branch. That's like a common error. A lot of people want to branch it right away. So get it by itself by getting rid of that minus 6 by adding 6 to both sides. Then you end up getting the absolute value of x minus 3 is equal to 8. And then now we can branch our equations. Do absolute value. Go x minus 3 is equal to a positive 8. And x minus 3 is equal to a negative 8. You add 3 to both sides. We end up getting x is equal to 11. Add 3 to both sides, we get x is equal to a negative 5. So we do have two solutions there. Number 5. Again, we don't have it isolated yet, so I need to get rid of that plus 7 by subtracting 7 from both sides. You end up getting 0 is equal to the absolute value of 3x plus 9. Be careful here again, because we do have it isolated. You could branch it, but you're going to end up getting like negative 0, or you would get like, you would branch off and say 0 is equal to 3x plus 9, and a negative 0 is equal to 3x plus 9. Well, we don't have a negative 0. It's not possible. It's just 0. So you can just, so here you're going to get just one solution. You still need to continue on and keep solving. You get negative 9 is equal to 3x. Divide both sides by 3, so we end up getting a negative 3 is equal to x. There we only have one solution, so whenever it's equal to 0, you get one solution. Whenever it's equal to a negative number, like we talked about here, it's no solution, and then anything else we do get 2 solutions for absolute value. Okay, that was definitely just a quick review. If you need more help, you need to come and see me before or after school, and we can go over it one-on-one. Thank you.